Hey VC, what's up? It's me, yours truly. I am back to post a quick video here. Just the next recent finds video. Kind of my same routine. Picked up a few things over the last couple weeks. Um, Been still selling some stuff based on the purge. I've been kind of going through my jazz and now into my R&B section. And actually, there's been a couple people that have asked me some questions about that. Mainly kind of revolving around, how many records have you gotten rid of and stuff like that. So I thought what might be a nice, easy way to show that would be just to do a quick 30 or 45-second tour towards the end of this video, when just to give you an idea about, the whole purge thing and all that. But anyway, so yeah, between that and we also have kind of some things going on at work where we get little rewards, if you will, for some things that we do. And what they actually do now is, you do a certain number of things, you get a certain number of picks, and whatever those dollar amounts are, they give you gift cards, and you can choose whatever gift cards you want. They have a list of them. So it's kind of nice because on that list are Amazon and Barnes and Nobles, which of course both have plenty of vinyl. So there's a couple pickups here based on some of those gift cards I got, that I also picked up a few LPs here and there too. So that was kind of neat. But yeah, so anyway, let me just kind of jump into it and show you some recent finds and stuff. First one I'll show here, which I won't pull out and go into detail because there's already been a number of people that have shown this, but I finally got my Iron Maiden box set in, which was really, really great. Really excited about that. And of course, without, again, pulling out everything, because you guys already know most of this, the two albums that it comes with is Prayer for the Dying, or No Prayer for the Dying, and Fear of the Dark. So very, very, I've been wanting this on vinyl for a long time and was never willing to drop that 80 or 100 bucks. So I'm so glad they reissued all this Iron Maiden stuff, and some things issuing for the first time. So that was a really, really great move. But the other thing that I was pretty happy about is when I got the box set and just started putting in the stuff that I had, it made me realize I'm only like the next 4 releases away from having the box set complete already. And it just didn't faze me that I was kind of that far along. So that was kind of nice. But again, just as a little bit of a refresher there, the first 4 albums, all 4 of these are just recent reissues, and I just got all 4 of those. But then also the Brave New World that they reissued on Record Store Day, I think last year, or Record Store Day before last, or whatever. So I got a copy of that, black vinyl, which is nice. And I got these not too long ago, and I think I showed them in a video, not realizing they were picture disc. So between Death on the Road and Flight 666, if they do end up issuing those on black vinyl, I'm going to get those and sell these because I'm not a fan of the picture disc. And so that's why I've actually kept these 2 sealed, just in case I need to get rid of them and whatever. And then of course Final Frontier, I've had that since it first came out, and that's a picture disc, and Book of Souls. So yeah, it's kind of nice to be pretty close to already having that set complete, and so nice to have all of the Maiden studio albums too. That's awesome, awesome set. Probably the one box set I'll be most happy about this year. So yeah, that was good. Now let's move right along to some of the new pickups. A lot of random stuff as always. Here's one I'm kind of curious if people are familiar with, or knew about, I should say. But Blondie, they actually put out a new album with Debbie Harry and all of them. So I had no idea that they were still making stuff and putting stuff out. So stumbled across this the other day. This is one of the gift certificates that I used. But yeah, but Pollinator, I've listened to it one time all the way through, and my first impression is that side A is very vintage Blondie. Kind of the Blondie that we've known from the past. It still has that disco-y 80s kind of feel to it, and of course her voice is just unmistakable. So I really love side 1. Side 2 seemed like a lot of filler. We want to maybe experiment a little bit and blah, blah, blah. And I hated side two, quite frankly. Well, I shouldn't say hate, that's kind of a strong word, but I wasn't very fond of side two of this album. But side one was definitely kind of vintage Blondie. So, so yeah, just in case you're curious about that, but again, I thought it was kind of cool that they put out a new album. I had no idea. Another classic pickup here. Thin Lizzy Renegade. One Thin Lizzy album that I am not very familiar with, so I can't even really say a lot about this album because I'm not familiar with it. I've listened to part of side one so far, but I haven't had a chance to listen to it all the way through. So again, I'm sure you guys, a lot of you out there probably know this a lot better than me at this point. Moving right along. Oh, here's another good pickup. One that I've wanted for quite some time. But Bonnie Raitt. And this is Nick of Time. I mean, I like her as an artist, but I'm not necessarily a huge fan of a lot of her catalog. But this is one of the few albums that I really like, mainly because probably my favorite song by her is Nick of Time, which is really cool. So, you know, I don't remember how long it was, one of my previous trips to the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame. For those of you that haven't been there, there's this room that has these 3 huge, almost like movie screens, meaning that they're gigantic. And you go sit in this room, and between all 3 screens, there's like 3 different cameras playing on each screen. And so sometimes it makes one image, and sometimes you have 2 or 3 different images going, and you know, words that go all the way across all 3. So it's kind of like a really neat way that they use the presentation. But what they do in that room is there's like a 40-something minute video that they go through every single artist that was inducted for each year. So they will show the year, and then they'll go through, and it's like, you know, it's videos and people them talking, and they're playing music, and it's really kind of a cool thing. I mean, that's my favorite part of the Hall of Fame, actually. But anyway, so with Bonnie Raitt, when they're doing the segment on her, the song they played is Nick of Time. And I remember that's when I really kind of fell in love with that song, when I experienced it at the Hall of Fame that time. And I don't know what it was about it, but I just really connected with it emotionally at that visit. And then all of a sudden it just became like my favorite song. So yeah, I've had it on CD for just a little while now, but definitely great to find a vinyl in really good condition. Here's another one I picked up on trade because it was a little overpriced, I thought, to actually buy it. But Jesus and the Mary Chain. And this is, I think this came out in '88, I believe. Barbed Wire Kisses. And, you know, just vintage Jesus Mary Chain. I mean, just that whole '80s alternative, quite frankly, just cool thing that they did. You know, Candy's probably still my favorite album by them, but this is definitely a nice pickup. And 2 LP set, which is also cool, but it is on red vinyl, which is a little disappointing, but still worth the get. And to add to the Soft Machine collection, I picked up a copy of Soft Machine 4, which was nice because this was the one that I wanted to complete my collection. I mean, I don't have every single thing by Soft Machine, but I do have Soft Machine 1, 2, 3, I needed 4, 5, 6, and 7. So it was nice to get my hands on 4. And again, for those maybe that aren't very familiar with Soft Machine, here we're talking more about, you know, I'd almost label it a great combination of free jazz and psych. That's kind of the way that I feel them. But it really is kind of that experimental, you know, dudes just making sounds that are in their heads that are extremely cool kind of thing. So it was really, really great getting that. And then, of course, my girl came out with another album this year, which is fantastic. Diana Krall. This is Turn Up the Quiet. I keep saying this, but I need to do a video of my Diana Krall collection because I think it's actually one of my favorite artist collection in my entire collection. But I love Diana to death. I mean, just this, you know, just an awesome jazz vocalist. I mean, she's just awesome. You know, I like her style, I like her tone, I like her delivery, I like the simplicity of her music as well as kind of the greatness of her music. And I really like the style that she brings to modern day vocal jazz. I mean, it's just awesome. So I have not had a chance to listen to this album yet, but well, I've heard bits and pieces online, but I haven't actually sat down and spun it because it just came in the mail like last day or two. But yeah, so glad whenever she puts out new stuff. So very, very good stuff there. Uh, Here's one that I actually picked up at Half Price Books because they were doing they had their markdown and then 20% off this weekend as well. So I picked up this copy of Linda Ronstadt, live in Germany, 1979. Big fan of Linda. I mean, I wasn't even that familiar with this album, but again, it was marked down to like $8. So I thought, two LP set with Linda, who I do love, it's worth the pickup. And yeah, it really was great. I listened to the entire thing yesterday, both LPs, and it's just typical Linda, you know. And it really is amazing with her too, because sometimes if you just even go through and like listen to the set list on this, I mean, there's everything from songs like Tracks of My Tears, which of course is you know, straight Motown. Obviously that's Smokey Robinson and the Miracles. And then there was also the song, what was it? Da, 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 da. So Tracks of My Tears. Oh, Heat Wave, which is another, Motown song. And then, classics like You're No Good. And there was actually there's a couple of country songs on here that she did, a couple of Neil Young covers that she did. So, I mean, just a woman who could go all over the place just strictly from a vocal perspective in terms of being able to really deliver on a song, be it Motown, R&B, country, or just kind of whatever. And one of the things I think I like most on this album is the live version that they did. Well, of course, the whole album is live, but the live version they did of You're No Good on here, because there's this really, really incredible guitar solo that's added towards the end of the song. A good 2 minute or so guitar solo that totally and completely reminds me of the guitar solo at the end of Freebird by Leonard Skinner. And it's just a really, really soulful type of thing. And I just thought it was really, really cool. So, great pickup on that album, and always love Linda. Counting Crows, Recovering the Satellites. I was really happy to get this back in my collection. I had an original pressing of this that I found for $10 at a store one time. Even though at the time I didn't know how much it was worth. I just knew it was a rare album. But I picked it up and I'd sold it like maybe 2 or 3 years ago for like $120. And ever since then I've been kind of wanting ones. When they came out with the reissue, that was great. So I'm glad to have this back in my collection on vinyl, which is really nice. So that was a good pickup. A couple more essentials I picked up on trade here. Dr. Hook, Greatest Hits. This is one that I purged that wasn't in perfect condition, so it was nice to find this mint copy. And you guys know Dr. Hook and everything, and one of my favorite songs off this album is Sharing the Night Together. Really love that one. And these were exciting finds too, because this is a band I've been wanting to get so much more stuff by. But The Church. And this one here is The Blurred Crusade. And The Church is just one of those really cool 80s bands. I know I've spoken about them a couple of times in past videos, but I like their sound, I like their feel, just, it's just one of those vintage, what I refer to as 80s alternative groups. So yeah, the more of their stuff I get, the better. So it was very nice to find a copy of that, as well as a copy of Remote Luxury. And this is one which is also a gold stamp promo, which is nice. This is one of their albums I'm not very familiar with, so I have not listened to this one yet. I have like 6 or 7 of their CDs, but this is not one that I've had, so this is going to be kind of interesting to discover this one for the first time. Like I said, I haven't spun it yet. The last album I needed to complete my Talking Heads collection, which is this one here. And arguably one of my favorite, if not my favorite, Talking Heads albums. Of course, this has a song, Psycho Killer. And you know, the crazy thing is, one of the reasons why I went and got another copy was, again, this was one that I had purged not too long ago, and it really ticked me off because the album was pretty darn clean, but it had like this little nick that, you know, affected play for maybe 40 seconds or so, 45 seconds, maybe a minute, something like that. So, you know, it was a little while, but it was like the only thing on the album that had anything wrong with it, which normally that may not be as big a deal. You know, you'll get a better copy at some point in time, but that little nick was only at the very beginning of the first minute, minute and a half of Psycho Killer, which is my favorite song on the album. So it's like anytime I go to this album, 9 times out of 10, 99 times out of 100 more like it, that's the song that I'm going to, and that was the only song on the album that had some little issue with it, which really kind of ticked me off. But anyway, I was able to pick up a nice new copy of that, which is nice. Another replacement copy here with a little chick, greatest hits, you know, Freak Out and I Want Your Love and Good Times and just all that great classic stuff. With, what's his name too? I'm drawing a blank on his name now. He got inducted into the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame this year. What's his freaking name? It's not coming to me. Anyway, you know, you look down his catalog and the stuff that he's written and, you know, just the artists that he's worked with, you don't realize that just a ton of huge hits that have come out over the years he was completely responsible for. Frankie Valli. You know, this is Frankie is the Word, and of course this is his solo album that has Grease on it. So another good pickup there. Actually, I don't know why I put this in. This is just a replacement. I've had this album for a while, but again, mint copy I found in the dollar bin. Well, make sure to give Billy his credit. Billy Squier, enough's enough. Another replacement. Nice little Tina Turner. Another great mint copy for $2. Definitely a great album by Tina. I mean, this has one of my favorite songs by her, which is Typical Male. So, love that. Love Tina. Johnny Nash. I Can See Clearly Now. Nice to get a fairly clean copy of that. It seems to be a hard album to find in good condition. And these last two are actually two more of those, you know, just on the lookout at half-price books because you never know. I've wanted this album for quite some time. Again, years and years ago, I had the original pressing, but I mean, it was actually in pretty bad condition. Like, there were so many pops and crackles when you played it. And I've gotten rid of that and been wanting a copy ever since. But again, just wasn't willing to pay for it. And even this reissue here, which was marked at $29.99, you know, they've had it half-price books forever. And I was like, no, I ain't paying $30 for it. It's like not even worth it. But this past weekend, again, they had already had it marked down from $29 to $14, and then on top of that, another 20% off. You know, it's taking another $3 off of that, so I was able to pick it up for $11, which was freaking great. But that's a Kraftwerk, Radioactivity, one of the first albums I really ever heard by Kraftwerk. And I want to show this to you. I think it's kind of neat. Because for a while it was throwing me off a little bit because I was getting it kind of confused. Because again, I own a few Kraftwerk albums, but I'm not like, you know, very, very up on their discography and things of that nature. But it kind of confused me until I opened this up because the other pressing I had before, this was the cover. So I was like, oh, okay, this is just a new outer cover, you know, blah, blah, blah. So if you're ever out looking for that album, this is what the original cover looks like. All right. And then also with this kind of heavier sleeve they put on there, there's a really cool booklet that comes with it. And of course, the name of the album is Radioactivity. So what you have here is, I'll just kind of show these really quick. You know, you have the kind of the Morse code type thing with, get it, Radioactivity. And you have that, which is the Morse code for Radioactivity. And then you have the antenna sending out signals of radioactivity. And last but not least, of course, you have the satellite dish dealing with radioactivity. And at the very end, you got a picture of the group and blah, blah, blah. So I thought that was kind of cool, just kind of the simplicity of that, to include that little book inside of the LP set. So that was definitely a very neat pickup, and I was glad that, again, I caught it before anyone else snagged it up for that price. Another one that they had here at Half Price Books, I think marked down, this one was only like $6. But Unplugged at the Plant, this is Bob Skaggs. You know, my favorite song by Bob Skaggs is Lowdown. I mean, that's the first song that brought me to him. And there's a really good live version of this on here. I haven't listened to the other side yet, so, but again, for a live album, it sounds absolutely great. And I'm usually not that fond of live albums, so that was definitely a plus. And that Linda Ronstadt, exact same thing. As much as I do not like live albums, that album, if you take out her talking to the crowd and the applause, you wouldn't even know that it was a live album. Like, that's just how great it sounded. So there you go, VC. Again, just those are the recent pickups, things that have kind of come in, and that's your. Oh, wait a second. I was gonna show you like the thing with my whole purging type of thing. Okay, so for those of you that have been asking me, like, you know, how many records have you gotten rid of? You keep saying you've sold a lot of stuff. You know, how much have you sold? Blah blah blah. Again, I thought the easiest way to do it was just to show you. So let me kind of carry the camera around here really quick. All right, so this is my main record stack here. I'm not sure if I can even get back far enough. Maybe I have to step back here. All right, this is my main record stack there. And as you can see, well, prior to me starting this, every single cube was full. Okay, so as I've gone through and cleared stuff out, you'll see down here behind that rush over there, there's 1, 2. I'm sorry, I'm trying to handle this camera in a weird way. And then basically 2 more cubes. Sorry, it's weird trying to handle it from the back. 2 more empty cubes there. So there's 4 cubes that have been cleared out on that shelf. And then when you go over to, well, even my my kind of hard rock and metal section, as you see here, you know, there's a lot of empty space there at the top of those. So these were completely full. Sorry, again, I'm trying to work this camera from a strange angle. Those were completely full. So these bins have also been kind of emptied out a little bit. And then over here, let me back up again so you can see it. As you can see there, we have 1, 2, about 2.5 empty cubes there. So that's how many records that I've purged from my collection. And as of right now, you see here, this is where I'm at. So I just have to go through these, and then the bottom row here, and then that's it. All the rest of my collection, I've been through and, you know, cleaned and purged and all that great stuff. I guess one other thing I'll show while I'm over here. Again, I'm sorry about this weird cam. I'm trying to hold this iPad in a very strange way. This over here is kind of where some of those records are going. And what you see up here is this is when I finally get done and through everything, these are records where I have very clean covers that are in great condition, but I need clean LPs. These records over here are ones where I have very clean records, but the covers may have something, you know, a bit of an issue. So what I'm going to do is, once I get done actually going through the records and done with that task, I'm going to make a full database with all of those albums right there. I'll just do it like this, so that I could, so I'll know when I'm out digging and stuff like that, you know, okay, I already have a very, very, you know, perfectly mint cover of this album, but need a clean LP, and then to make sure that the pressing numbers and all that stuff match up, or, you know, just full replacement, whatever. But this is kind of my way of, you know, I want to have a mint collection, and I want to clean everything out and so forth, but I also don't want to necessarily sacrifice the music. You know, if I want to listen to an album, just because it's not 100% perfect doesn't mean I don't want to have it available. So this is kind of my solution to that. So all the stuff in there is out of my database and out of my collection, but is in its own replacement database. So stuff on the bottom is some stuff that's on eBay and blah 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 blah. All right. So hopefully that maybe clarified a little bit. Again, I'm sorry for the horrible camera work. I'm trying to hold this thing and from the back, and I can't even see what the camera's necessarily seeing. But yeah. So anyway, there you go, VC. As always, let me know what you think, and we will talk to you soon.